I'm going to teach you how to create Laravel applications very quickly using a really great and well-engineered library called Blueprint by Laravel Shift. It will save you precious time moving you from the ERD to a fully functioning backend or even a fully functioning Laravel application. This course is targeted to Laravel developers who know the basics of Laravel development, not for people who are learning Laravel from scratch, since it demonstrates some advanced topics for them. At the end of this course, you will be able to build a blueprint for your apps, applying the skills and guidelines that I'm going to give you, and then generate all of the Laravel components for your app based on several lines of code. Even if you have an old application, you can apply the same principles to add new Laravel components. I assume that you have some knowledge of PHP, Laravel, Composer, MySQL, since this course teaches Blueprint not any of those. I won't waste so much time showing you how to download and install the apps that you need throughout this course, since it's very easy and straightforward. Instead, I'll mention the names of them so that you have the chance to install any software that you don't have. Apache, MySQL, PHP I assume that you have WAMP server or XAMPP server that are working in the standard mode. Or if you have the standard Apache and MySQL and PHP installed, it will be the same. And at last, you should have Composer, which is the PHP package manager. Be sure that you have all of those programs installed and you are ready to begin learning soon. Blueprint is a tool that will read a human understandable text and generate the corresponding Laravel components so that the developer doesn't spend a lot of time and effort doing repetitive tasks. Sometimes you have problems because you are mistyping the name of the table in the model or in the migration or any other place. With Blueprint, you will write the name once and it will be converted to the suitable format for table, model, migration, etc. Usually, Laravel developers build the ERD, create a new database, and put its name and credentials in the environment file named .env. Then they build migrations from the ERD. Run PHP to migrate to create the database tables and stuff. And then build the models based on the database tables. And after that, we will create the controller's actions one by one, each action with a route, and we might create some sort of a view for that action. When using Blueprint, it will be changed a little bit because Blueprint will consider itself a template for the whole project. So we begin with a new empty database. We manage the connection to it in the env file, and then we use the ERD to blueprint our models, and we can use some logic diagrams to blueprint the controllers. The result will be a blueprint file. And after we reach this phase with our blueprint file filled with the necessary data and a working connection to the database, we can build a huge amount of Laravel components, including migrations, models, controllers, actions, and a lot of other stuff. If you have an existing Laravel application, then all of the files can be added to the existing project and no harm will be done on your existing work. And a last phase should be added. You should pass it through every and each controller action and make sure that it's functioning properly. And maybe you want to add some code that can't be blueprinted. For me, I consider Blueprint is a great way to build migrations and models, but the logic inside controllers and actions need some human perspective. So you can benefit from Blueprint in generating the template of your actions, but never rely on it to build a 100% working code for you. Our sample app, we are going to take a very simple application that will demonstrate and teach all the ideas of Blueprint. It's a big company that have many departments, employees, and projects. Each department have many employees, and the employee belongs to only one department, and that's a one-to-many relationship. Each employee can work on many projects. A project can have many employees working on it, and that's a many-to-many relationship. We will try to make this as a simple Laravel application using Blueprint. YAML. It's a language that is similar to JSON and XML in usage, which is data transfer and notation. The addition that it gives is that it's easier to human to understand. And like JSON and XML, there are plenty of libraries in all programming languages that pass and understand the format of it. It's recommended for YAML files to start with 3 dashes and end with 3 dots. It's optional though, so you can skip it. It supports many data types like strings, with quotes or without, numbers like integers, floating points, and decimals. Booleans with different variations for true and false. So, for example, true, yes, are for true, false, no, and off for false. The white space is never ignored in here. One space can change an object from a parent to a child. And this is called the indentation level, which is done by one or more spaces. Commence is everything that follows a sharp sign. To indicate a list or array, you must put a new line beginning with a dash, or you can make it online using square brackets. To indicate an object or a record, put the name of it in a single line and a semicolon after it, and then list key value pairs underneath it, separating them with a semicolon. And this is actually called a dictionary that we can identify by 2 ways. Either by putting the key value pairs in the next lines with the same indentation, or in line by putting them in curly brackets. That's the whole syntax that you might use in YAML. We can move easily between YAML and JSON. There are converters built especially for this purpose. The more details so that you have the chance to apply the principles and practice them many times. And when you finish, please find an online YAML validator and check your work in there. Initialization of the environment. Let's create a new folder for our project and name it amp. Let's up the Visual Studio Code and open the terminal. Then let's check our composer version. It's Homeboy 10. It's not the latest version, but not a big deal. It will work for us. Let's check the PHP version. It's 7.3.5. It's sufficient for us since it can run the latest Laravel version that we're installing in a minute. Let's create a lot of a project named impsys using Composer create project Laravel/Laravel. It will download all the dependencies and will take some time. After it finishes, let's check the version of Laravel that is downloaded. Let's move to the newly created folder which holds the same name of the project, impsys. And then check the version using Artisan. It's editable toward the 8.1. Laravel is ready, I think. Let's move on. To install the Blueprint Composer, require --dev Laravel shift/blueprint. Let's go to the place where we can find the support and documentation. If we wrote Blueprint Laravel on Google, the first place it will show is the GitHub repository of the blueprint. At the bottom, it has the link to the site where you can find in the updates and documentations. Let's open PHP with the default rule chooser with no password. And let's add a new database with the name emp and let's choose some character set for it. It's not so important because we will be using only plain English text. Let's open the .env file and put the name of the database and username, root, and no password. Let's open some site that offers some online database diagram editing. There are plenty of those. We will begin with a very simple ERD which contains only one table, which is employee, with an ID as a integer, a name which is a varchar, and another identification like a var character, and a birth as a date time, and a salary as an integer value. When we create an RVR project, it have some already built migrations. Let's first migrate the current migration files and then continue our work. PHP Artisan migrate, it will raise an error which states that the email is very large field to be unique, because their structure requires a lot of processing. So whenever anyone adds a new email, it will check all the already existing emails, so it checks that it is unique. Let's go to the definition of that field, the users table migration, and make the email field as 250 instead of the default 1000. And let's run a migration fresh now so that it removes the tables before creating the new ones. We have the same problem with email, but this time in the password resets table. We modified this as well, and we have a third occurrence of the problem in UUID field in the field jobs table. We modify that as appearance, and then migration is now working fine. But instead of making every property on its own, we can solve that problem by specifying 250 as a default. It's by going to the other provider and specifying that value. Let's init our environment using Blueprint in U. Blueprint as an artisan command have 4 commands. In U, trace, bold, erase. When we do the new, it will read the already built models and will create the draft YAML. For now, I will create one model which is employee. The employee have a name which is a varchar, an identification which is a varchar, a birth which is a timestamp or a date type, and a salary which is an integer. Let's build our YAML draft. The model is created automatically for us as long as an integration, a factory, and a seeder, which will generate Austin records in the employee table. Let's run the migration to see if there is any problem. Yes, there is one problem it's that the date time precision of 100 is way too big. What that means is, even if the blueprint build went successful, that doesn't mean that everything is correct. Let's remove the precision that we wrote and erase the work that we have done using blueprint erase, and then build again. And then emigrate fresh, then seed, and let's see the result of our work. A model, a migration, a factory, and a seeder, and 10 records generated using the seeder.